There is a hole in the jungle of Mexico so deep it could swallow the Empire State Building whole. And every morning a river of birds pours up out of the darkness in a spinning column. In Florida, a quiet pond in the woods hides a flooded maze that has killed at least 11 trained divers beneath a sign that reads, "Prevent your death. Go no farther." And at number 3, a cave was sealed shut with a man still inside it, because reaching his body would have killed the people trying. These are real places mapped and studied. Stay with me, because by the end of this video you will understand why some doors into the earth are never meant to be opened. Caves are the last unexplored places left on the surface of our planet. No satellite can see into them, and some have never felt light at all. Every cave on this list is dangerous in a completely different way. Some by poison, some by water, some by sheer size. And stay until the end, because number 1 is a cave so vast it grew its own jungle and its own weather, hidden from the world for millions of years. We begin above a pit in the Mexican rainforest. Number 10, the Cave of the Swallows. In the rainforest of San Luis Potosi in eastern Mexico, the ground simply opens. A narrow oval in the jungle floor gives way to a single vertical shaft that drops uninterrupted more than 370 meters straight down. Let that number settle. The Empire State Building would vanish inside this hole with room to spare. A person stepping off the edge would fall for almost 10 full seconds before hitting the bottom. And yet this deadly pit is one of the most alive places on Earth. Tens of thousands of birds, swifts and green parakeets nest in the pockmarked walls. And at dawn they leave all at once, spiraling upward in a slow tornado of wings because the shaft is too narrow to fly straight out. They have to circle to climb. Base jumpers come here to leap into the void, and the cave has already killed one of them when a parachute opened too late in the dark. The birds navigate the drop effortlessly. We are the ones who fall. A hole in the ground deep enough to hide a skyscraper, and its safest travelers are the ones with wings. But the next cave does not drop you into darkness. It surrounds you with a sky that should not exist. Number 9, the Waitomo Glowworm Caves. On the North Island of New Zealand, beneath quiet green farmland, there is a cave where the ceiling glows. Drift through it by boat, kill your lights, look up, and you see what looks like a clear night sky packed with thousands of tiny blue-green stars, close enough to touch. But this is not starlight, and it is not crystal catching a beam. Every single one of those points is alive. They are the larvae of a creature found nowhere else on Earth, Arachnocampa luminosa, and each one produces that cold blue light from its own body. And here is the unsettling truth behind the beauty. That glow is a trap. Each tiny larva dangles dozens of sticky silken threads down from the ceiling like fishing lines, and its light is the bait. Insects hatching from the black river below mistake the glow overhead for the open night sky. Fly up toward it to escape, and hit the threads and stick fast and are slowly reeled in. The hungrier a larva is, the brighter it burns. So you are drifting, silent, through a galaxy that was built entirely to kill. The most beautiful ceiling on Earth is a field of glowing baited hooks. The next cave is not beautiful at all in that way. It is so pristine and so fragile that almost no human being has ever been allowed inside. Number 8, Lechuguilla Cave. Beneath the desert of New Mexico lies a cave that stayed hidden in plain sight for decades. For 72 years, cavers felt cold wind roaring up out of a pile of rubble at the bottom of a small pit, proof that something vast was breathing below. But the rocks blocked the way. Not until 1986 did they finally dig through. What they found rewrote what a cave could be. More than 200 kilometers of passages plunging almost 500 meters down, lined with formations seen almost nowhere else on the planet. Gypsum chandeliers up to 6 meters long, delicate crystal so fragile that a single breath can destroy it. But the strangest discovery was alive. Deep in the rock, cut off from the surface for millions of years, scientists found bacteria that had never touched sunlight. And some of them were resistant to modern antibiotics they could never have encountered. Their resistance was ancient, evolved in total isolation, which means antibiotic resistance is far older and more natural than we ever believed. A cave so pristine it is still sealed from the public today, guarding crystal gardens and life forms that may hold clues to medicine. But the next cave is the opposite of pristine. The air inside it can kill you in minutes. Number 7. Cueva de Villaluz. In the state of Tabasco in southern Mexico, there is a cave that scientists can only enter wearing respirators and carrying their own oxygen. The moment you step inside, the smell hits you. Rotten eggs, thick and sour, so strong it coats the back of your throat. That is hydrogen sulfide gas, and here it climbs to concentrations that can knock a person unconscious in a single breath and then stop their heart. Researchers carry gas monitors that shriek when the levels spike, and when they do, everyone leaves. Now, the water that runs through it glows a pale, milky white, clouded with suspended sulfur. And hanging from the ceiling are formations found in almost no other cave on Earth. Dripping mucus-like ropes of living bacteria that scientists actually named snotites. They are not rock. They are colonies of microbes alive, and the liquid that drips from their tips is nearly as acidic as the acid inside a car battery. It will eat through cloth and skin. So how does anything survive in a place built of poison and acid? Here is the answer, and it rewrites a rule most of us were taught. Those bacteria do not need the sun. They pull energy straight out of the hydrogen sulfide bubbling up from deep underground, turning the very poison that fills the cave into food. That makes them the base of an entire hidden food web, feeding pale, blind fish that swarm in water thick enough to choke a person, thriving exactly where we would die. Down here, life is built on chemistry instead of light, and that is why this toxic cave matters far beyond Mexico. If life can run on chemicals in total darkness here, it can do the same somewhere else, which is why scientists study it as a model for life in the buried oceans of moons like Europa. A cave too deadly to breathe in may be teaching us where to look for aliens, but the next cave hides its danger better. It looks like paradise right up until it drowns you. Number 6. The Blue Hole. Off the coast of Dahab in Egypt, on the edge of the Red Sea, there is a near-perfect circular sinkhole dropping around 100 meters straight down into the seabed. From the surface, it is stunning, warm, clear, ringed by reef. Divers call it something else. They call it the diver's cemetery. Estimates of the dead run into the dozens, and by some counts far higher, making it one of the deadliest dive sites in the world. And the reason is a single feature hidden below. A tunnel through the reef called the Arch, its top sitting at around 55 meters down. Here is exactly how it kills. At that depth, the pressure floods a diver's mind with nitrogen narcosis, a confusion like drunkenness that makes them feel invincible right when they need to think clearly. Lured to find the Arch, divers go deeper than they planned, lose their sense of direction in the blue, and by the time the narcosis clears, they no longer have the air to come back up. One diver famously filmed his own final descent. The water does not look dangerous. That is precisely why it is. The Blue Hole kills by invitation. We are halfway down this list, and the caves only get deeper from here. Notice what has happened as we descend. The caves near the top of this list can kill you with a fall or a breath or a bad turn. But the deeper we go, the less these places feel like caves at all. And the more they feel like another planet hidden inside our own. You are about to see the one at number 3, the one I promised you. An ordinary cave in ordinary hills that families explored on weekends until one wrong turn sealed it forever. And at number 1, a cave with its own jungle and its own weather, so vast it stayed hidden from the world until almost yesterday. But first, a room in the dark so enormous the human eye cannot even take it in. Number 5, the Miao Room. Deep in the Ziyun Mountains of Guizhou in southern China, hidden inside the Glowworm cave system, is a single chamber so large the human eye simply cannot take it in. It is the largest cave room on Earth by volume, and the raw numbers barely help. Over 850 meters long, its ceiling arching almost 200 meters overhead. That is a single underground room longer than 8 football fields, with a roof taller than a 50-story tower. To really picture it, imagine parking multiple Boeing 747 jumbo jets end-to-end across the floor, then stacking a sports stadium on top of them and still leaving open air above your head. Explorers standing in the middle of it point their strongest lights at the walls, and the beams simply die in the dark before reaching the other side. There is no sense of a ceiling. It feels like standing outside at night indoors. And that is exactly why its true size stayed a secret for so long. You cannot measure what you cannot see the edges of. Only in 2013, when a British-led team hauled in 3D laser scanners, devices that fire beams into the blackness and measure how long they take to return, could the room finally be mapped. When the numbers came back, the explorers realized they had been walking through the largest cave chamber ever discovered without ever grasping its scale. A space big enough to swallow a small town, standing empty in the dark that no human eye had ever fully taken in. Some things are too large to understand from the inside, but the next cave is the opposite of vast. It is a crack in the earth barely wider than your body, and that is exactly what makes it lethal. Number 4, Veryovkina Cave. In the Arabica Massif of the country of Georgia, a tiny opening barely 3 meters wide drops into the deepest known cave on Earth. From that unremarkable hole, the cave plunges more than 2,200 meters straight down into the mountain, deeper than 7 Eiffel Towers stacked on top of one another. Reaching the bottom takes elite cavers days of climbing, crawling, and rappelling, camping underground along the way. And in September 2018, a team was resting at the lowest camp when the cave revealed its real danger. A storm was raging far above them on a surface they could not see. The rain poured into the mountain, and the water had nowhere to go but down, toward them. A warning traveled along their ropes. A flood pulse was coming, and it would reach the bottom in 30 minutes. Here is why that is a death sentence in a cave this deep. There is only one way out, the same vertical route they came in, and it fills from the bottom up. They climbed for their lives through surging water and barely made it out. The deepest place a human can stand on Earth is also the one with no way to run. Down here, the sky can drown you without ever being seen. But the next cave took a life it never gave back and became a tomb. Number 3, the one I promised you, Nutty Putty Cave. In the hills of Utah, this cave was never known for being deep or grand or beautiful. It was known for being tight, a warm, damp maze of narrow limestone passages that squeezed the body from every side. For years, it was a popular weekend adventure for families and scouts and college students, a place to test your nerve in the dark. Thousands went in and came back out. In November 2009, a 26-year-old medical student named John Jones went in with his brother and a group of friends days before Thanksgiving. They were hunting for a famous passage nicknamed the Birth Canal. In the darkness, John took a wrong turn into an unmapped side crevice, and certain it would open into the chamber he wanted, he pushed forward headfirst into the shrinking gap. It did not open up. It kept narrowing. And there he stopped, upside down, head pointing into the earth, wedged into a slot barely wider than his own chest, nearly 30 meters deep into the cave. He could not go forward, he could not back out. He was trapped, inverted in a space that fit him like a coffin. What followed became one of the most agonizing rescues in modern history. For 27 hours, more than 100 rescuers crawled in shifts through passages so tight they could barely stretch a hand to touch him, rigging ropes and pulleys against the rock, inching him a few centimeters at a time, only to watch a pulley anchor fail and drop him back. And all the while, an invisible clock was running. Here is the cruel physics of hanging upside down for that long. The heart has to pump blood upward, out of the head against gravity with no rest, hour after hour until the strain becomes too much. John stayed conscious for much of it. He spoke with rescuers. He spoke about his family. And then slowly his body gave out. When it was over, reaching his body was judged too deadly to attempt. The same trap that killed him would kill whoever tried. So his family made an impossible choice. The cave was sealed with explosives, its passages collapsed and filled with concrete, with John Jones still inside. It remains his grave to this day. He had left behind a young wife, pregnant with a daughter he would never live to meet. A place of weekend adventure became a tomb that can never be reopened. Some doors once closed are meant to stay closed forever. The next cave has killed again and again and again, and every single victim was an expert. Number 2, Eagle's Nest. In a quiet Florida wildlife refuge, there is what looks like a shallow, muddy pond sitting in the woods. Ringed by trees, still and brown, there is nothing about it to fear. A small sign stands at the water's edge. It reads, "Stop. Prevent your death. Go no farther," because directly below that ordinary surface opens one of the most dangerous dive sites on the planet. A vast flooded labyrinth of stone tunnels plunging more than 90 meters down and branching in every direction, nicknamed the Mount Everest of cave diving. Since 1981, it has killed at least 11 people. But here is what makes Eagle's Nest truly chilling and different from every tourist trap. Its victims were not reckless swimmers who ignored the sign. They were trained, certified, deeply experienced cave divers. People who had dived this exact system before, carrying perfect redundant equipment. In 2016, 2 veteran divers were found dead close together at 260 feet down. This cave does not kill the unprepared because the unprepared never make it past the entrance. It kills the ones skilled enough to go deep. Where the water is black, every tunnel looks like the last, and a single wrong turn in the maze means you are still searching for the exit when the air finally runs out. The warning sign is not really for beginners. The beginners turn back. It is the experts this cave waits for, but none of these prepare you for what comes last. Number 1. Hang Son Doong. Deep in the jungle of central Vietnam near the border with Laos lies the largest cave passage on Earth. So enormous the mind refuses to hold it. In its main chamber, a Boeing 747 could fly straight through without clipping a wing. A 40-story skyscraper could stand upright inside it with room to spare above the roof. And for millions of years, no human being knew it existed. Its story begins in 1990 when a local man named Ho Khan took shelter from a jungle storm beneath a cliff. He felt a strange, powerful wind rushing out of the rock and heard the roar of an underground river somewhere in the dark below. He glimpsed the mouth of an enormous cave, and then, making his way home, he lost it. For 18 years, he searched the jungle for that opening again, walking past it, unable to find it, the memory of that wind never leaving him. Not until 2008 did he finally stand before it once more and lead explorers to what waited inside. And what waited inside was not a cave. It was a world. Son Doong is so vast that in 2 places the ceiling has collapsed. opening skylights hundreds of feet overhead. And where those shafts of sunlight strike the floor, entire jungles have grown underground. Real trees 30 meters tall, reaching up toward a patch of sky trapped inside a mountain. A river carves through the darkness. Clouds form in the cave's own weather system as warm air meets cool and mist gathers beneath the roof. One stalagmite rises 80 meters from the floor. There are pearls of stone in dried pools and creatures living in the black water that exist nowhere else on Earth. And here is the part that should stop you cold. This was not found in some distant century. It was fully explored in 2009. In an age when satellites map every meter of the surface, when we believe there is nothing left to discover, the single largest cave passage on the entire planet, big enough to hold a city block of skyscrapers with its own jungle and its own weather, sat hidden beneath the trees, undiscovered. Because from above, from space, from everything we thought could see everything, there was simply nothing to see. The greatest cave on Earth is not the deepest, and it is not the deadliest. It is the proof that our planet still hides entire worlds beneath our feet, worlds with their own skies and forests and rivers, and that after all our maps and all our machines, we have only just begun to find them. So that is the list. 10 caves that swallow light, air, water, and sometimes the people who enter them. Drop a comment and tell me which country you are watching from. And out of all 10, tell me which cave you would never set foot in no matter what waited inside. I actually go through the comments, so tell me. Next week we're leaving Earth behind. We'll explore worlds that wander through space without a sun. Mysterious objects that astronomers still can't explain, and the growing evidence that something enormous may still be hiding at the edge of our own solar system. Subscribe so you do not miss it.